It's the end of December, the years are closing, and there is one little question in your mind. What is WoW looking into for 2025? We got Classic Fresh, we got Cataclysm, God help our soul, and we got Seasonal Discovery. But what is the trajectory of them? That's what we're gonna find out today. I will start with Cataclysm right here. Let me zoom into this a little more. This graph is always annoying to work with. But as you can see, that little dimple right there, this is where we are today. And as you can see, Cataclysm has been holding up pretty stable for the last few weeks. It's still a disgrace. It is still as low as the end of ICC, and there is no sign of coming back, and they still got one more tier in Cataclysm before they go to Pandaria. So it is not exactly dying. I wouldn't say Cataclysm is in risk of dying, you know, like we got 115,000 people in Cataclysm right now, but it is certainly not in a great spot, and it will not be in a great spot for a while. I don't think Dragon Soul is gonna capture the hearts and minds of people either. We're on Firelands. Firelands has been out for this long already. Whatever they are selling, people are not buying. That doesn't necessarily mean that the entirety of Classic WoW is doomed. Or is it? We're gonna be talking about Seasonal Discovery. Now, Seasonal Discovery, it actually held up two pretty decent phases, all things considered. Phase 4 and Phase 5 were phases of very slow but very consistent, believe it or not, growth. Blackwing Lair peaked at 88,000 people from a low of about 75,000 in the start of Molten Core, so the game actually kept growing a little bit, which was pretty freaking impressive considering how much they killed the game back in Phase 3. Look at that, 20,000 was the all-time low of Seasonal Discovery. I predicted, if I recall correctly, that by this point we would be at 36,000 players. Now, what have I hit at this time by now? Well, Anchorage came out here. This is gonna be a launch of 63,000 people. That's the people that actually came in and tried Anchorage. It's been 4 lockouts since Anchorage came out. I think 6. Actually, I don't even remember anymore. Everybody in here is actually a week. So yeah, it is 4 lockouts. So the previous lockout is actually closed in at 53,000. Now this is actually something I would consider way more alarming. Things to get out of the way first. Anchorage is always the low point of any vanilla server. All vanilla servers die in Anchorage, and there's always people that come back for Nax. AQ40 is a terrible raid, nobody wants to do it, and the gear is not even that good. So I am not surprised that people don't want to do AQ40. Also, just as a side note, progressing through Khotun is way easier when you get a couple of the early Nax bosses in your belt. You know, that gear actually adds up quite a lot. But let's see, this all-time low was hit only by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Okay, no, week 8 of Phase 3. Basically, when they let the game to die out there, that's basically when we hit this number again. The decline is not as violent, not nearly as violent, but there is a very steady decline. Now, they teased to us a 10-man Scarlet Monastery dungeon raid, whatever you want to call it, and Karazhan Crypts. Apparently, it is now coming out again. Maybe, maybe not. We don't even know. There is a Deadwind Pass dungeon, so they are doing like 2 things. I am gonna talk about it whenever we get more information on it. And I hope it's good, and I hope it actually comes out. But how many people are there gonna be left by the time that thing comes out for like to be worth doing it? That's why I was pretty much convinced that Classic Plus took up all the content that was gonna go to SoD, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep making content for an ever-shrinking number of people. Like 50,000 raiders are not gonna pay the bills. I'm sorry. There was a time to make new content, and it was back in Phase 1 when people could actually justify the cost. SoD is not dead, SoD is not dead, but Blizzard is acting like it is. That's the way I would call it. And you gotta keep in mind, this last lockout was when everybody had free runes. They gave up free rooms to everybody, which was an amazing change, by the way. Runes are stupid. Having to do a quest to unlock every single one of your 14 abilities is probably not a great idea. But sadly, it was one of those things where it was fixed way too late, and it didn't have a meaningful impact on player numbers. The people did not come out for the runes. It is possible that next week we'll have a little bump, because a lot of people that heard about the runes getting removed re-rolled or made a new character just because of that, because a lot of people, guys, I cannot even tell you how many times I thought of like taking back my shaman, for example, or taking back my druid even, and I just don't want to do the stupid runes again, bro. I am sick of it. I don't want to do it for every character. So yes, that could be a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe a couple people will come back for that. I would not put my money on SoD, let me tell you that much. If I were Blizzard, oh boy, no. Finally, there is one last thing I want to talk about, and that is the new Classic Fresh, the new Anniversary Realms. Because the numbers are quite deceiving. If you actually look at the graph here, there is no graph because there's only one lockout. Data for this website, Ironforge Pro, is actually recorded in sets of 2 weeks. In the graph they show each week, but for whatever reason it's recorded on 2 weeks. I think it's because of how Warcraft logs works. I am not too sure. Perhaps somebody can tell me why that is a 2-week time between things. But we got the first 2 weeks of the population recorded, even though it doesn't show in the graph. And the number of raiders, the unique players, unique characters, is 25,379. That is about half a season of Discovery. You may look at that number and you might think that's alarmingly low, that this Fresh is dead. And I can feel it. It definitely looks like a slow start. But you actually gotta look at how this worked out, because this is a 1x 1 to 60 server. Most people are barely 60 or not 60 at all, and that will definitely shrink the numbers. Also, it is the holiday season. You also got that going on. A lot of people cannot level as much as they would like to. If you look at the original Classic launch right here, look at this number here. The first week it was 42,000 players, the next week it was 59,000, the next week it was 75,000, the next week it was 97,000, and so on and so forth. It took pretty much 25 weeks for Classic proper back in 2019 to hit its peak population. Does it mean it's gonna take us again 25 weeks of growth to stop growing? No, probably not. Classic 2019 was a one-time in a lifetime experience, but there is quite a lot of growth to be had. What is the actual number of people that are gonna hit level 60 and raid? If I were to guess, if I were to estimate it, I would say probably 75,000. That's gonna be the peak in my opinion. I don't see a lot of people being too enthusiastic about it. I don't see a lot of people getting the raid done. A lot of people are leveling to 60 and are not planning to raid because they just wanna get a character out for TVC. They call it the waiting room. I don't know what's up with that. They don't have anything to do, I guess. Might as well level now. But if I am Blizzard and I am looking at these numbers, this kinda shows some worrying details. I would be rather desperate. What the hell do you do? Cataclysm is stuck at a low population number. SoD is on the way down. Fresh is doing okay now, but it is not gonna be a peak. It is not gonna be the refresher of subscribers they were hoping for, definitely. My bet, I think Blizzard is gonna do their damnedest to get Pandaria out as soon as possible. This is gonna look very bad at the end of the quarter. Granted, they are not a publicly reported company anymore. They are owned by Microsoft, so they don't really have to look good every quarter, but internally they do. They do have to show to Microsoft that they are running the business well. They gotta show it, okay? Like, there's still money to be made. I got an entire video working on the internal reportings of Blizzard. That's gonna be quite a whole thing. It's like 40 minutes long, I swear to God. That's why my eyes are this way. But honestly, the only thing that can feasibly save their numbers at this point is just to crank Pandaria as quickly as possible out of the way so they can save the year. And that's gonna be like mid-year. I think the numbers are gonna hit a way down that we have not seen since late Rato the Lich King Classic. I would say that's the last time we've seen something like such a grim picture of WoW. Okay, the last time we had such a grim picture of WoW, Hardcore came out. Streamers got together and they made up their new game because there was no game to play. We got an announcement by Microsoft on a month, and they're gonna announce a bunch of new games for Game Pass and such. And let's keep our hopes up. Maybe they are gonna announce something, but personally I am a little concerned. I think WoW is not gonna be a busy game this year, and that's not good for anybody. But what do you think? Have you stopped playing for a while? Are you gonna come back after the holidays? Do you think the holidays are mixing up the numbers here? Also, as a side note, we are 40 subscribers away from 10,000. Are we gonna hit it before the year ends? We got like a day left. Come on, man. I put my life savings on bet to get at 10,000 subscribers. The Mafia is gonna take my thumb. Come on, man. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.